Welcome into week 2 matchup between the Hawaii Toucannons and the New York Krooks. The Hawaii Toucannons coming in with a 0-0 record as they had a bye week in week 1, and New York coming in 1-0 as they defeated the Denver Gigaliths last week, securing 10 points. Hawaii coming in with Halucha, Rotomash, Sinishta, Garchomp, Toucannon, and Incineroar, and New York rocking Lucario, Whimsicott, Incineroar, Shiny Gyarados, Garchomp, and Glimmora. Now, on the side of New York, they have approximately 4 Pokemon that could Mega Evolve, and on the side of Hawaii, they have 2 Pokemon that could Mega Evolve. It's all about what is going to be decided between these two trainers as we get started here in match 1 of our best of 3 set between Hawaii and New York. New York going to lead out with the Gyarados and the Incineroar. Hawaii is going to lead out with the Garchomp and the Halucha. Instantly, 2 double intimidates down, so a -2 attack to both this Halucha and the Garchomp on Hawaii's side. Nonetheless, very, very interesting. What does Hawaii have? They're going to instantly Mega Evolve to their Mega Halucha. We have yet to see Mega Halucha here in the Victory Road League. Such a cool mon. They're going to use Fake Out onto the Halucha from New York side, and they're going to flinch that Halucha. And incoming a Rock Slide onto the Gyarados and Incineroar. The Gyarados is going to flinch, so we get 2 flinches. And shout out to our chat. I love the WWE nicknames on Hawaii's side. Yes, we do stand the Batista and the Rey Mysterio nicknames. Those are very, very unique. Love those names. And here comes a cross chop from the Halucha, getting it down to 61 hit points. And here comes the Earthquake. It's not going to affect Halucha. It's not going to affect the Gyarados, but Hawaii is gonna come in here and knock out the Incineroar. There is their first ever point here in the Victory Road League, folks. And here comes the Ice Fang from the Gyarados onto the Garchomp. But that Rough Skin is gonna have that Gyarados take some damage. What does New York do to counteract this? They're gonna send out their Whimsicott, a very interesting choice. Probably going to either set up the Tailwind or for sure going to try to knock out either this Garchomp or Halucha right away. This Halucha is already proving, this Mega Halucha, correct me, is proving to already be a little bit of a pest. And they're going to have the Halucha use Encore. So, here comes the Cross Chop onto the Gyarados. Isn't going to do as much damage, but still damage none the least. Here comes a Rock Slide. The Gyarados is going to avoid the attack. It's going to hit the Whimsicott and does about 20 hit points. And here comes a Thunder Wave from the Gyarados from New York onto the Halucha's side. And the Halucha now is paralyzed. Possibly could not be able to move. How does Hawaii counteract this? They've already gotten the first point here in this match between themselves and New York. Coming out strong, making their debut here in week 2 of the Victory Road League. Nonetheless, excitement is in the air. They're going to withdraw their Mega Halucha. They're going to go send out the Incineroar, the Intimidate onto the Gyarados and onto the Whimsicott. The Whimsicott is going to use Moonblast, heading towards the Garchomp. And folks, that is a point for New York here in week 2. The Gyarados is going to use Waterfall. It's going to be on the Incineroar. He kind of takes it pretty well. Still takes a bit of damage, but still takes it pretty well. How does Hawaii counteract this? They're going to send out the Rotom Wash form. A very interesting choice right about now. So the 4 Pokemon for Hawaii confirmed: Mega Halucha, Rotom Wash. The Garchomp is now fainted, but Incineroar. And so far for New York, we've seen the Incineroar is knocked out. We have Whimsicott and Gyarados. There's still 1 Pokemon on New York side to be determined. New York rolling with a lot of momentum currently at this point. They are up 2-0 in the NBA Finals, so you know that the New York Krooks want to put themselves in a position to represent their city very, very proudly. All right, here comes the tailwind from the Whimsicott on New York's end, is going to make their team just a little bit faster. Here comes the incoming waterfall onto the Incineroar. The Incineroar is still going to live with 59 hit points. Here comes the Thunderbolt from the Rotom Wash. Enough to knock the Gyarados out, and another point for Hawaii. Hawaii coming in here, swinging hard and fast. The Flare Blitz from the Incineroar onto the Whimsicott. Another point for Hawaii. They are 1 point away from taking the first match here against New York. New York, mind you, a contender here in the Victory Road League. Folks, I am amazed at what I'm seeing. Here comes the Lucario. Now, I know from experience as the coach of Denver, this is probably a Mega Lucario here. How does Hawaii counteract this? Very, very fun. Very, very exciting. And that Mega Lucario is going to come out for the New York Krooks. What is their goal? What is their plan? Here comes the Aura Sphere. Is going to get themselves another point for themselves. Mind you, there is still the Mega Hawlucha. And this Rotom is going to still be able to attack. They're going to do the Will-O-Wisp, getting burn damage onto this Lucario. The Will-O-Wisp hits Hawaii, trying to secure themselves some points here. Win, lose. They are trying to make a statement that they are not just a pushover here, which we love. That Mega Hawlucha is going to come back out. What is Hawaii's plan to deal with this Mega Lucario? Can this Lucario pull out the unthinkable here against Hawaii? And there comes a incoming Psychic on to the Hawlucha for New York, folks. It is tied 3 points apiece. It comes down between this Lucario and this Rotom. Rotom with the Thunderbolt is going to do a bit of damage. They're going to take the burn damage. How does New York handle this Wash Rotom? Or is Hawaii going to walk in here, not playing a game ever here in the VRL? Protect goes their way. Trying to scout out what this Lucario is going to do. Aura Sphere, they're going to get the burn damage for this turn. So it's still an attack for them regardless. The Tailwind is going to peter out. Folks, Hawaii coming in, swinging hard, batting 1,000 is what their goal is here, and we love to see it. We love to see it. Here comes the incoming Aura Sphere onto the Rotom. Does almost half, or a little over half, but here comes the Citrus Berry from the Rotom. Thunderbolt, folks, that is it. Match 1. Go to the Hawaii Toucannons. What a match. That is 5 points for Hawaii coming off the rip. They have not played a match here in the Victory Road League until now. That first match was absolutely amazing. Hawaii is going to switch it up. Hawaii and New York are going to switch it up. Hawaii is going to bring Charizard, Venusaur, Archuludon, Sneasler, Milotic, and Whimsicott. And for New York, Sableye, Incineroar, Gengar, Politoed, Archuludon, and Dragonite. Very, very interesting choices. How does New York respond? They were able to pick up themselves 3 points here in this battle. But nonetheless, folks, Hawaii showed that they can compete. Can New York push this to a game 3? Or will this be Hawaii's first ever win? Our chat here live on Twitch saying that was crazy. I have to 100% agree. I don't think any of us were expecting this out of Hawaii, but here we are. Gengar and Incineroar off the rip for New York, and here comes the Charizard Venusaur combination. The Intimidate from the Incineroar is going to hit both Charizard and Venusaur, making a -1 attack. Now, how does Jax and the Hawaii Toucannons counteract what New York is going to try to do to push this to a game 3. 5 points so far for Hawaii, 3 to New York. The Mega Gengar instantly for the New York Krooks. Folks, we are here. We are here. New York gonna try to get this win. Mega Charizard X for Hawaii. We normally have been seeing Mega Charizard Y here so far in the Victory Road League through the first 2 weeks, but here is a Mega Charizard X. A very interesting choice. Here comes a fake out onto the Venusaur. The Gengar is going to use Perish Song, a known tactic of what they did to Denver last week. So all Pokemon on this field will take 3 turns to faint. Here comes the Dragon Claw. Does a bit of damage, and the Perish count is down to 3 for all Pokemon currently on the field. A very, very interesting choice from New York to do that Perish Song, as it's right off to the start of this match. Compared to last week in week 1 against Denver, they decided to do it a little bit further into the match when they knew that they could have the match secured. The Gengar gonna protect here on turn 2. What does the Incineroar decide to do? It's also gonna use Protect, so we have a Protect turn here from New York. Here comes the Sludge Bomb, not gonna hit, and whatever Mega Charizard X has, Flare Blitz, not gonna hit. A bold move. The Perish count is gonna fall to 2. New York trying to get themselves points regardless, but points would also go to Hawaii in this case as well if all Pokemon faint on this field. How can Hawaii knock out these Pokemon as soon as possible? That is the question to be had. And New York's gonna withdraw the Gengar. They're gonna send in Archaludon. Here comes the Sleep Powder. The Archaludon's going to avoid the attack. Dragon Claw onto the Archaludon. And it's going to have that stamina, which is going to play at +1 defense. And here comes Parting Shot onto the Charizard. Going to lower the attack and special attack by 1. And going to remove the Incineroar. And going to send right back out the Mega Gengar. Leftovers for the Archaludon here. How does New York push this to a game? And the count is going to fall to 1, unfortunately, for Gengar. If they got it switched out, New York making the smart move. If you're Hawaii here, you remove Charizard, you remove Venusaur off of the field to save your Charizard and your Venusaur so they don't fall to the Perish count. Interesting decisions to be made by both teams here. Gengar with the Protect. Archaludon with another Protect. What does Hawaii do here? They're gonna keep Venusaur and Charizard here on the field, folks. Perish Song is gonna take these 2 out. The leftovers for the Archaludon. And here comes the fall count to 0. Points to New York. +2. We're knotted out at a total of 5 for New York and Hawaii. How can Hawaii try to get the sweep off? How do they get the sweep off to make sure that this doesn't go to a game 3? New York so far swinging that momentum slowly back in their favor. Here comes Whimsicott. And here comes the Milotic. How does Hawaii not push this to a game 3 as New York is looking to push this to a decisive game 3, which would be our second only game 3 set here within the first 2 weeks of the Victory Road League? They're going to withdraw the Gengar and send out Politoed, setting up the instant Drizzle. They're going to use a Moonblast onto the Archaludon. Does a decent enough damage, gets it under half. That special attack is going to fall, but the stamina boost ability is going to boost that defense up to another defensive shot. The Electro Shot coming in instantly from this Drizzle. It's going to put their special attack back to 1, so it's back to a base. Onto the Milotic. Does about half damage. What does this Milotic decide to do? They're going to use Scald onto the Politoed. Can they get the burn? Not very effective. And unfortunately, they're not going to get the burn. Here comes the leftovers for the Archaludon. And leftovers for the Milotic. How does Hawaii counteract this match here? Milotic and Whimsicott, the remaining Mons for Hawaii. Rain still has 4 turns set up. Here comes the Protect from the Archaludon. Politoed and Archaludon for the side of Hawaii. They're going to send a Moonblast to the Politoed. Here comes a Icy Wind. Protecting their Archaludon is going to potentially not do much on the Politoed. Can they get a freeze? No, but the speed of Politoed is going to fall. Politoed gonna use Perish Song. Folks, I think we have it here of what the plan is for New York to get themselves to a game 3. Cheeky plays, but plays nonetheless. The Perish count is gonna fall to 3 unless Hawaii has something in their bag to get these Pokemon, all 4 in this match, off the field and secure the win within 3 turns. I think we're headed to our third game match ever here in the Victory Road League. Seems like we're on track to get one every week, folks, which is amazing. Now, what is the plan for Whimsicott and Milotic here for Hawaii? Protect coming out for the Politoed for New York. And the Protect is gonna be hit by that Moonblast. Flash Cannon coming out. Hits the Whimsicott. Gonna survive on 1 due to the Focus Sash. Gets rid of the Sash. The Icy Wind is gonna come out. Protects against the Politoed. Will hit this Archaludon. Reminder that its defense is gonna keep up. That speed will fall, but that stamina defensive is now up to +3. If I have my numbers correct here. The Perish count is gonna fall to 2 for all Pokemon on the field. Whimsicott, probably with a turn left, depending on what they decide to do here. Very bold, very interesting choices from Whimsicott. Here comes the Protect from the Archaludon. Moonblast onto the Politoed. Hawaii trying to get themselves a point at least here in this match. Here comes the Citrus Berry from the Politoed. Icy Wind. Protect on the Archaludon. Onto the Politoed. Not too much damage. Can't get the freeze, but it does lower the speed down by 1. Weather Ball onto the Whimsicott. That is another match, or another point to New York. They've knocked out 3 Pokemon. They're up to 6 points so far. Looking to try to get their 7th and 8th here. Trying to take this to a game 3 and secure the win. Now, unfortunately, Milotic has 1 on the Perish count. The goal here, if you can survive this turn, Hawaii would still walk out unless New York switches out to the Gengar and the Incineroar. But Hawaii, if they're able to just withstand this Perish Song, would still walk out of here with 2 points nonetheless. Decisions to be made. Does New York be a friend? There is a Protect from the Politoed. Icy Wind will hit the Archaludon. Doesn't do a whole lot. Speed will fall by another 1. Defense up to +4. The Electroshock coming out from the Archaludon. It's going to up their special attack. Can Milotic withstand this to try to secure themselves 2 more points at least here in the week 2 of Victory Road League? They are able to withstand it. The rain will stop. Leftovers for Milotic. Leftovers for the Archaludon. The parish count is gonna fall down to 0. And unfortunately, New York will be extending this to a game 3. And here we are, folks. Here we are, folks. Our third match, the deciding match here between Hawaii and New York. Hawaii making their debut, going back to their first team. New York gonna stick with their second team that they won the second match to push this to a game 3 in. Does Hawaii have what it takes to pull off the upset, or can the New York Krooks walk out of here 2-0 with a secured amount of points to put them just under San Diego? As we talked to San Diego's coach, Matt, he was worried about some of the teams that are undefeated and some of the teams that are already defeated but have enough to put themselves back in a position to take that #1 spot come playoff time. All right, here we are. Match 3, week 2, Hawaii, New York. This is what it's all about. Can Hawaii at least, if they're going to go down swinging and get themselves some points? New York leading off with the Archaludon and the Sableye. Hawaii with the Hawlucha and the Incineroar and the Instant Intimidate. So a -1 attack onto the Sableye and onto the Archaludon. And we have to ask, folks, I would say momentum is pretty much about even. New York and Hawaii coming out, taking respective matches. New York doing what it had to do to get this to a game 3. Hawaii gonna lead off with the Mega Hawlucha. And the Protect is gonna come from the Archaludon. What is their plan here? Sableye will use Reflect here. It's gonna make it stronger against physical moves. The Cross Chop not gonna hit the Archaludon due to Protect. Flare Blitz coming out, gonna go for the Sableye. Does a decent amount of damage, but remember they are gonna take some recoil damage due to that move. You gotta ask, even if you're Hawaii and you somehow lose this match, you came out swinging, you showed that you have arrived, and you showed that you are here. Can you at least secure yourself a couple more points here? Sableye gonna set up the Rain Dance for the Archaludon. Here comes the Cross Chop onto the Archaludon. Does more than half damage! You want to get this Archaludon out of the way as soon as humanly possible. The Electroshock coming out is going to bump up the Archaludon special attack by 1. More than likely aiming for this Hawlucha. And here it is. Enough! A 1-hit KO, a point to New York. Throat Chop into the Sableye. Isn't going to do much, but the leftovers here for Archaludon. What does Hawaii have to counter? They were able to get some hefty damage onto the Archaludon. And here comes Garchomp for the Hawaii Toucannons. All right, New York gonna withdraw their Sableye, gonna send in their own Incineroar. Here comes the -1 attack to the Garchomp and Incineroar for Hawaii, and the Protect for the Archaludon. Here comes a Rock Slide. Isn't gonna hit the Archaludon, but will for sure hit the Incineroar. Does a little less than 1/4 damage. Throat Chop onto the Incineroar. I think Hawaii was expecting New York to keep the Sableye out on the field There's still 3 turns of rain left. What do these two coaches decide to do for their squads respectively? All right, the fake out coming out from the Incineroar will do it against the Garchomp, but of course the rough skin will happen. Flinch can't move. Draco Meteor will hit, and it's going for the Garchomp. A KO to New York. Special attack will lower it for Archaludon. Here comes Flare Blitz. Not as effective due to the rain here. And due to that dragon typing. Reminder, Dragon Steel for Archaludon here. Leftovers will heal the Archaludon up. New York, 2 Pokemon, 2 points away from securing a 2-0 start here in week 2 of the Victory Road League. Just a reminder, Hawaii will, if I'm not mistaken, be playing Buffalo next week, and New York will be playing Portland. Very, very bold, very, very interesting matchups ahead as we look forward to week 3. Right now, here in week 2, the Archaludon for the Protect on New York. They're going to use Fake Out onto the Incineroar. Here comes a Throat Chop to the Archaludon, but unfortunately the Protect is there. The Incineroar will flinch, and Archaludon is going to set up another round of leftovers. The Reflect is going to wear off, which is good news if you're Hawaii. Rain still has 1 turn left. How does Hawaii navigate this? How does New York get out of this and get their second win? Hawaii looking to pull off the upset and get their win here in week 2. Archaludon was forced to use Encore for the Protect. Here comes the Throat Chop onto the Archaludon. A critical hit. Stamina is going to bump up defense +1. Parting Shot going to hit the Tinkaton, and it's going to return back to our good friend Ian of New York. How does Hawaii navigate this? Can they at least get themselves a point or 2 on the board here in match 3? The rain is gonna stop. Sableye back out on the field for New York. What a match, folks, here in the Victory Road League. Both of these trainers. Hawaii's in a decent spot to try to take these 2 Mons that are currently on the field out. Here comes the Protect from the Archaludon. Sableye gonna put the Reflect back up. How does this happen? Gigaton Hammer coming out. If that Reflect was not set up, that would have been a KO. Throat Chop not gonna hit due to Protect. Hawaii not out of it just yet. But Hawaii has decisions to be made here. Do they pull off the Encore again against the Archaludon and go into a Throat Chop from the Incineroar onto the Archaludon, potentially to knock it out? Or do you just go for the Sableye, for sure secure yourself a point here in the 3rd match of week 2? Archaludon with the Protect nonetheless. Sableye gonna send out a Rain Dance, setting up rain for 5 more turns. Encore onto the Sableye. Throat Chop. Hawaii will walk out of here at least with 1 more point. Big for them. Leftovers on to the Archaludon. The Archaludon surviving so many turns. A big Mon here. within the VRL. The Intimidate will not attack the Tinkaton, but will hit the Incineroar. What does Tinkaton and Incineroar have here in our third match, or third set here in week 2 between New York and Hawaii? Hawaii not going away just yet. You've got to put respect onto it. They're going to do a fake out onto the Tinkaton. Tinkaton will flinch, unfortunately. Here comes the Electro Shot. Got a question. Who is this going to try to hit first? They're going for the Tinkaton. And does almost half. Throat Chop onto the Archaludon. Due to, again, plus defense and the fact that Reflect is up, it's not going to do as much as it did the first time around. Now, a reminder, folks, if time does run out, this will end in a draw. And trainers, if the Pokemon are still out on the field, will walk away from this. Here comes a Protect from the Incineroar on New York side. Gigaton Hammer on to the Archaludon. Isn't going to do much. That stamina is going to buff up its defense once again. Here comes the Electro Shot from the Archaludon. We still have 10 minutes here. The special attack is going to rise. Electro Shot onto the Tinkaton. The Tinkaton's going to survive on 5. Flare Blitz onto the Incineroar. Protect is there. Leftovers to the Archaludon. Hawaii not done yet, but definitely in a critical position here. As we get ourselves set up here down the stretch. That timer does say 9 more minutes. There's going to be a helping hand. Electro Shot will be used here, more than likely to knock out the Tinkaton here. I think we're looking at a 2-0 start for the New York Krooks. There goes the Tinkaton for Hawaii. All that remains is the Incineroar. Flare Blitz from the Incineroar onto the Archaludon isn't going to do much due to that defensive buff. Once again, there it goes again. And due to the fact that the rain is up, so fire shots are not going to do much here in the rain. Parting shot on to the Hawaii's Incineroar. They're going to withdraw their own Incineroar. And they're going to bring out Dragonite here. Reflect is finally going to wear off. Unfortunate for Hawaii here, as they do not have their Tinkaton anymore. What does Hawaii do here? And there it is. Mega Dragonite here for New York's end. And there it is. Hurricane on to the Incineroar. Is going to leave it with 50 hit points left. Archaludon with the Electro Shot. Is this it for Hawaii here in week 2? And there it is. The Electro Shot is there. That is enough for New York to gain the win. Much respect to Hawaii here in week 2, playing their first match. They will still walk out of here with 6 points, but New York is going to get to 2-0.
Hey there, brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome in. We have our coach of the New York Krooks, my good friend, Ian. Ian, I got to ask, were you expecting that from the first match from Hawaii? Were you expecting them to take that from you?
Absolutely not. I got bodied.
That's fair.
It's gonna be thought it was going to be a leisurely breeze. No,
Okay.
went in there. I was trying to do my fake tears Whimsicott with Mega Lucario.
Okay.
I just couldn't get it positioned against his team in that first game, so props to him. He dismantled that one.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at this matchup when I set up the schedule for this league, I looked at round two or week two specifically for a couple matches, and for some reason this caught my eye specifically because Hawaii did not get to play in round week one. Um,
Yep.
and truly, to be honest, if we were sponsored by betting, I would have said that New York had this, easy win, but they pushed you to the edge. That second match was kind of more of a stalemate, I would say. But that third match, even then, there were times that I thought he could have pulled out another one, but for him to get another point is secure. You are now sitting at 2-0, and if I'm not mistaken, as I pull it up here, your week 3 matchup is against Portland. I'm not sure if you've caught any of what Portland did in week 1. How are you feeling walking into that?
Well, not quite as confident given today's first match.
Fair enough.
We'll see though. I think I got a good spread of mons on my side. So, and a couple of different modes. You saw the Dragonite mode there, the Perish Trap, and then I just have like hyper offense with my second team. So
For sure.
the goal is to just be able to adapt.
Okay. Well, I gotta say, I tallied up the points so far for our standings. You are now standing alone second as of right now in the league. You are 1 point under San Diego. They have 24 points. You have 23 points. And I'm looking forward to seeing you play against Portland next week. You are carrying a lot of momentum. Is there any sort of juice with that right now as the New York Knicks are currently up 2-0? Is that keeping you a little inspired, or?
Yeah, definitely. My dad's a huge New York fan. He's from New York himself. And we've been going back and forth every single time they take a game. So
For sure.
ready for the sweep in the finals, ready for the sweep in the league.
For sure. Well, props to your pops. My dad is also from New York, so I'm definitely in the NBA Finals excited either way. But nonetheless, props to you. You pulled out a massive win. Were able to get yourself a lot of points to get yourself right there with our top member being San Diego, and we look forward to your matchup with Portland next week.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, folks. That was our head coach of the New York Krooks. What a match. They sit alone in second as of right now of recording and streaming this matchup. They are sitting at 23 points, just right under San Diego, who has 24 points. We are going to take a quick break before we head into our next matchup.